Amazing. Well, I've got some people that are still kind of chime on in. So yeah, let's let them come in, but I'm going to get going with all of you. Firstly, I would love to know before we get moving, what drew you to this call tonight? What's your soul tapped on your heart to come? I mean, I'm pretty elusive when I share some of these masterclasses. I just sort of have the name and don't say much more. So why did your soul decide to come? What drew you here? We're talking about the rise of the golden goddess. We're talking about the goddess energy. Would love to know, why you think you're here or what you'd love to get out of tonight. Let's start with that and go from there. So tune in. You may not even know as well. That's fine. Okay. So my energy, me, great. Magnetism, bringing all the goods towards us. Yes, because I'm ready to rise and you are the most authentic, soulful woman I know. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, hun. Really appreciate that. The feeling of tuning in energetically to my business. Yeah, soak in the goodness. I felt drawn, so trusted. Awesome. Amazing. And that's the thing of magnetism too, right? Like we just sort of sometimes go places and we're like, I don't know why, receive and create more abundance. Awesome. Amazing. So I'm really, really pumped to talk about what I'm going to talk about tonight, mainly because like it feels like there's another level of my mission and what I'm activated for at the moment. Also, excuse the color contrast. I'm just going to bring this out right now. I got a fake tan. I haven't washed it off yet. So this is super dark. And I just looked at my face and I'm like, there is a definite little difference in my face. So bear with me. I've got a party tomorrow I've got to get ready for. So that's why that is. I'll just put that out there. Thanks. So I am really excited because there's this image of a golden goddess that I've had in my visions for a long time, and I've never quite understood why it's there or what it is. But recently, in my retreats to Peru, and also I just came back from Fiji, like there's this new level of my mission that I know I'm here for, and what's really changed my trajectory of my life, and so what I'm going to share with you tonight, it feels a bit like a life work piece and just like what I really feel called to bring to you, and a medicine that I've wished I'd had for a long time, that it's really just landing very deeply. So I'm really excited. And when you're listening tonight, I want you to not just listen with your ears, but like let your whole body listen to this, because there's a really beautiful message that I really want to send to you. And I really want you to just listen intuitively, like what jumps out to you. So the first thing I want to say is that I've been doing a deep dive of a lot of work into the goddess and the mythology, over history, different religions, spirituality, all the different things. And the interesting thing that I'm finding is that for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, like the goddess was worshipped, primary, like before Abrahamic religions, that sort of thing. The goddess was seen as like part of Mother Nature, creation, like this deeply reverent energy. And interestingly, when you look at the history of this, and I'm going deeper and deeper into it, the world actually worked very well when the goddess was worshipped. Agriculture was thriving, and there was this harmony in the way that the world operated because the goddess was being honored. And why is that, when we really look at the feminine and the divine feminine energies, as much as we also need the divine masculine also, but the divine feminine really calls us into connection with nature, connection with the universe, connection with our true selves, calls into harmony, and feminine power, but not at the cost of anyone and not at the cost and toll of anything, and not through a warfare way of conflict and competition and you know and so I've looked at my own life, and before I'm going to go into this, I want you to reflect on yours. Like, what has been your relationship? Firstly, we're going to talk about your relationship to the feminine, and that's what I'm going to sort of look at. We're going to look at two different sort of main areas tonight, but the first thing I want you to look at is like, what's been your relationship to the feminine in your life? The feminine in your childhood, your mother figures, your grandmothers, sisters, and then throughout your life and in your business to date right now, like what is your relationship to the feminine? That's the first thing I want to look at, because your relationship to the goddess or the divine feminine, like it will impact your life. Yeah, I used to push it away, resist it, had a very little interaction with it. Yeah, tune in and put it in the chat. Like, what was your experience? Because growing up for me, like the feminine wasn't safe. You know, the feminine wasn't to be trusted. The feminine was weak. It was powerless. It was hurt. When I say this, like step into a circle and just tune into like your relationship to the feminine, you know, and just look into, feel into what comes out when you tune into that circle. Because for me, the feminine, like my mother, my grandmother, like particularly my grandmother was incredibly hurtful to me and really one of the most toxic, difficult, painful people I had as a child. Said really horrible things, yelled at me, like it was really, really detrimental things. And so yeah, had this really, you know, yuck relationship to the feminine. Felt it was, yeah, as again, unsafe, would hurt me, would be destructive, like is toxic, is competitive, is constantly like telling me I'm too this and too that, or too like too fat, too thin, too whatever, like constantly just having attacks and things. And then I also felt like they were weak. They didn't earn the money. They were powerless. Like they didn't, you know, have the power. Like, and all of this then began to form my definition of the feminine, my definition of feminine energy, my definition of woman, right? And it didn't just form my definition of woman and feminine energy, and it also defined my life and how I felt I should live my life, you know? So for me, I didn't really think the feminine was something that I would use to achieve goals or succeed or whatever. It wasn't something that would get me what I wanted. It actually ended up hurting me a lot of the time. So in all my life, because of this trauma I had around the feminine, this relationship that I had issues with in the feminine, I didn't have a connection to the divine feminine, whatever. I wanted to run for the hills. I wanted to avoid it at all costs. Like, but then I'm trying to run around and live my whole life with half of my body, with half of my soul, you know, because we are all divinely got our divine feminine, divine masculine in us. But because I had this painful experience as a child, like with feminine, my whole life, I then just try and use the masculine energy to create anything I want, to get what I want, to force what I want in the world, to, you know, but it's all this sort of divide, conquer, you know, compete, this sort of energy, right? And it exhausted me, it depleted me. I was striving and thriving and fighting and constantly like trying to force my way out in the world, you know. And in my business, when I began my business, again, my relationship with the feminine, like I had none. I didn't use anything. I didn't even have a connection to it. I didn't know how to use the energetic realm, the spiritual realm, like any of the feminine things. I just was like, I need to create money for my son and my business, and I need to make impact, and I want to do. So I've got to go do all this action, take all these massive action steps, get all these strategy coaches, because it was just trying to use my masculine arm. But if you're not using your whole body, you're not using your whole soul, and you're overusing one side, it's going to lead to poison. Anything too much of something is poisonous, right? And so I started to get affected. I started to get exhausted, depleted, sick, and tired of taking this toll. And also, I was so focused on my business and money and consume. I didn't have time for relationships or real love or deep things. I couldn't even connect deeply to clients, that sort of thing, too, because I was just so busy trying to do the tasks and stuff, you know? Even though I was a mother and I had nurturing elements, I was still just so focused on just getting shit done, taking things off. Also being like our measures of success are business and money and all these things. What about life? What about love? What about fulfillment? What about wholeness? What about health? What about vitality? All these other things, right? So can we see whatever your relationship is to the masculine, the feminine, all these things, whatever relationship is to the God, goddess, like it takes a toll, you know? And when I started to look at, again, history, and when the goddess was taken out, when the divine feminine was cut off, and it was just this patriarchal, like Abrahamic sort of father god type figure that came about in, you know, Islamic, Judaism, Christianity, like these religions, they just try to stifle out the goddess. And when that happened, like wars came about, you know, like strife, fighting, problems, competition, killing, destruction of the earth, taking a toll, like, you know, there was an over reliance of the masculine in culture and history and religion. And what happens? It destroys things because we're not working with nature. We're not working with the feminine. They've both got medicines. And so that was happening, I saw on like a global historical scale, but it happens within ourselves. What's the micro and the macro, right? So I want you, while I'm thinking and saying about this, like what, with this relationship with the feminine, you've realized, like, how has that affected your life? How has that affected your business? What toll has it taken? Right? Maybe just you can write in a few things. Just look at it. It felt scary. It was severity. I think that's saying no, there's no power. My nan was the only one who demonstrated it, but dominant mother had a strong work hard. Yeah, yeah. So we think again like we only can get what we want through working hard and striving and thriving and vulnerability without being safe. Interesting. Mom was a troubled soul, worked so hard, numerous breakdowns, hard life. Yeah. So like then again, we get these definitions of like being a woman is hard. It's a hard life and we're vulnerable and we're a victim or yeah. Not showing good examples. Yeah, I have to be masculine, I'll be a victim. Yeah, and even like we haven't had really strong models of the feminine in leadership and things either. It's like a lot of the time women think like to be a boss bitch or to be, big in business or whatever, I have to like wear a suit, cut off my femininity, just like strive and push. And, like that's what we've been told, like to succeed and get what we want, we've got to just cut off our true nature, you know? Yeah, hear you, hun. Did not know who I was, get exhausted, burnt out, exhausted, undervalued, feminine, overlooked. Yeah. Everything became logical, not spacious, not creative. Yeah. And again, we're cutting off like our life force and our vitality. We're cutting off that level of fulfillment. I may have been able to kick some goals in business or whatever, but I couldn't sustain it because it was boring as all hell and exhausting me. And there wasn't the depth of my desire there. I wasn't led by desire. I wasn't led by fulfillment. Right. And I'm not saying like, for tonight's session, we're like looking at that divine feminine, right? I'm not saying we don't have to have a masculine and stuff the men. This is not feminist movement, right? Like we need all of it. But I find a lot of women, particularly in business, and the way that coaches teach you how to succeed and whatever, it's very dominant in a masculine way, and it cuts off our femininity. And it's cutting off our life force. It's cutting off our creativity. It's cutting off our inspiration. It's cutting off our true power. It's cutting off our ability to magnetize what we want. So much of what I create in my life right now, like I've had pretty much a month offline where I've been in my retreat in Fiji and then I've been on holidays and things. My program's filling up and I'm not doing anything, like I'm not taking any, but there's magnetism to it, right? Even though I haven't taken set action to do, like I've been working on my feminine energy. I've been working on that. So the universe and superconscious and like it's doing all this work for me that I don't even have to be actually taking big actions out in the world, And if we don't connect to that energy, then we're cutting off our life source and our ability to magnetize and draw in. We have to then, it's all on our shoulders and we're one little human trying to do all this stuff. And we have the whole universe wanting to work with us, Therefore could not experience joy or warmth or love. Yes. Shut down that side. Yeah, that's right. And I've noticed too, like the last, particularly this last year, but even the last, maybe a couple of years while I've been diving deeper into this work, like my ability to connect with my clients and love them and journey with them and have that intimacy is so much different, which it fulfills me so much more and it's more powerful for them, right? So when we cut off the divine feminine, when we cut off the goddess, when we don't worship and honor her in ourselves, there's detriment, right? So the first thing that I want you to understand, and like what, I'm talking here about the rise of the goddess, is that I really want you to look at, understand your current relationship to the feminine, the divine feminine within you. Because that is going to determine a lot around, balance in your life, your quality of life, your magnetism, your power, the vitality, the creativity. As I've said, all of these things, she's the source of all of this. So if you're cutting that off or you've got kinks in the hose of that, you're not able to experience the fullness that life and the universe wants. It wants to co-create with you. When I had an incredible experience, and some of you may have heard this story, but when I was in Egypt, so I've got an obsession with Egypt. I've got an obsession with philosophy and the ancient wisdom and all these sort of things. And I was in Egypt 2 years ago, and I just went to these temples and I just sat in them. And again, I wasn't online. I wasn't posting. I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting in these temples and doing my little feminine rituals and whatever I was doing. And while I was there, like, I was like, oh, I want to have a full program of my alchemy program. Like, I really want that. But that was it. I said that, wanted that, and that was all I did. Otherwise I just sat there in my temples and had my experience. And then yeah, I had all these people messaging me while I was away, like, can I work with you? When are you starting this and whatever? And I hadn't said anything, but they were just, coming and messaging. It's like, yeah, yeah. And then I came back home, had an incredible experience. I could tell you all the things that happened in Egypt. There's crazy, magical, miraculous things that happen. But I came home, I ran one masterclass, and usually it takes me 2 months to fill alchemy. And in that one masterclass, like the whole thing was full by one or two people or whatever, and that they joined a couple of weeks later. But it was just like bang, all these people just came, all this stuff just happened, and it was all like super simple. Why? Because I was just relishing in my sort of divine feminine work. And so that any one step action, whatever I took, just drew people in, and it was an alignment and flow. And it was so easeful because there's already a match energetically for it, right? However, there's been other times where I haven't been doing my feminine work and I've gone back to like, I remember, and this was actually after Africa. I went to Africa like a year later or something. And in this trip in Africa, this person, this masculine figure, he's got quite a big business. He said to me, you just got to put whatever percent of money into ads and bang, there, Bob's your uncle. There, there you go. So I was like, okay. So I just like got home and I was like, okay, let's put this chunk of money into ads, and tick, 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 month later, nothing's happening. Like, what's going on? This person. So I tried this masculine thing. And my whole message from Africa, though, nothing was happening, nothing was changing until I actually did some energetic work on this block, and bang, then people came through. But why did I go to Egypt and bang, all this stuff happened? And then when I went to Africa, there was this big block. But when I did this thing that this guy told me to do, right? My message from Africa was that, Miranda, you're not a lion. You don't hunt like a lion. You're a leopard. You hunt like a leopard. And the leopards are actually have a higher success rate in hunting than the lions. However, they're stealth. They've got lots of disadvantages. They're smaller, they're leaner. They hunt by themselves, not in a pack. But they use their stealth, magnetic, like sort of really intelligence to hunt, and they don't hunt in the same brute force way of that more masculine type way of the lion. And that's why it wasn't working. Life doesn't work for me. I'm a predominant, like, feminine essence in my true nature. You may be, you may not be. We all have the same, we all have different energies. But when I flow in my feminine and I flow in my goddess, life flows for me. My business flows. My relationships flow. My son and I connect deeper. It all works. But when I try to get into my masculine, it's like, go back to this old sort of survival script I had, it just like life shuts up, that is the force versus power. So I'm going to keep going in some key pieces, but I want to hear from you. You can unmute or you can put in the chat. What's your key takeaway so far? What is landing for you with what I'm sharing here? My feminine is a shell at the moment. We can expand that one for you, hun. We have to connect with our inner goddess. Yeah. Knowing now my relationship to the feminine. We want to be able to have a beautiful connection and relationship to all elements of us. But if we have a trauma or we have a block and we're not looking at it, exploring it, then we're, again, just using half of our body. We're operating with a small section of what we are versus the whole radius. So when I can work into my divine feminine and my divine masculine and just like call in what I need when, that's where the power is. But before I was operating with this small slither of the work, so that's where it was affecting me. Trust, slow down, listen, connect, trust trust that I can do it my way. Yes, that's 1,000% true. It's so funny. Like, there have been multiple times in my life where these masculine type coaches like have told me to do my business and life a certain way. One time it was in my niche when I was, looking at being a health coach and I wanted to do resilience coaching. And this masculine type coach said, no, you must do weight loss coaching, And the moment I listened to her and not my intuition, my business dried up. And the moment I just went back to like, no, I want to do what I want to do, what I'm excited about, it grew. Another time, a strategy coach told me to do some things. It killed my business for months. The moment I went back into myself, it flew, even though it was not what the strategists people said, you know. And again, after Africa, this person's like, just do this ads thing, do it, kills my business, you know, just hemorrhaging money. Go back into my energetic work and bang, you know. And I could tell you every single launch, every single one, nothing changes until I connect deeply, energetically, intuitively, do the feminine sort of work. Nothing. And I can do all the actions in the world. I can spend all the money on ads. I can do whatever it is. But if I don't change my relationship to me, the goddess, like work on that, it doesn't flow. Connecting with my feminine energy will bring ease and flow in all aspects. Yes. How do I tap into it more? I will tell you. That's what some of what we'll look at tonight. Of being your feminine, amazing. Goddess is being, God is doing. We have to be more and not do more. What is helping me? How can I be in the space? Not be the thing. Yes, 100%. And I have found, like, when we're in survival mode and where our ego is being kicked and we're like, oh, I've got to really make money, or I've got to pressure mode. Like, we will try to do more often, you know, and we try to speed up, but it's actually slowing us down. So we need to, you know, be more intentional about that for sure. Okay, beautiful. So what I want to talk to you about right now, just as a sort of another practical point of like, how do we actually work with this? You know, so the first thing we need to do is just build our awareness about what is your connection to the feminine and what's your relationship to it right now? What's your current relationship with it? And I guess in terms of like what you could then do moving forward with it as well is go like, how would you love it to be? How would you love to connect? You know, because I had to go, oh, hang on, is the feminine unsafe? No, like I just had some definitions as a child that it was because I had these experiences. But does that mean every woman and every feminine energy within me is unsafe? No, you know. So you had to start like talking to yourself, working through some of the traumas that come up, some of the difficulties, some of the beliefs, some of the whatever. And so I actually like didn't trust that I could manifest and magnetize anything in my business without the masculine, right? But then I just went into, I'm just going to experiment and give this a go. And I meditated for 1 month, did a being thing for the whole month, didn't take any action. And I manifested 10K a month, even though I've tried for 3 years to take every action under the sun and haven't made it ever, right? But how did I get there? I just started experimenting. I just started trying to believe and trust and give it a go, you know? So the first piece we're looking at here is like, what's your current relationship with the feminine? And then you go, well, how would I love it to be? And how can you begin to just start to rebuild that? How can you begin to start to build the trust? How can you begin to start trying it on, you know? I started just being more vulnerable online. I started connecting to clients more and caring about intimacy. I just started trying things on, even though it felt awkward and weird and I felt like I was going to get, you know, hurt and whatever. I just started experimenting, right? So the first two things that I would love you to do, and this is all around your definition of the feminine, your definition of your feminine energy, of women, of, you know, and working on that. That's the first thing that I want you to start to look at. The second thing that I want to get you to look at right now is your definition of yourself. Because you have a definition of the feminine, you have a definition of women, you have a definition of the feminine energy, and that's going to dictate, you know, your results in life. It's going to dictate how you show up, how you experience business, like result, everything, right? But you also have a definition of yourself, and that is also going to dictate and alter how you show up in the world, how you experience life. Because I truly believe, and you probably heard about this in the energetic fields and manifesting, that whatever you have in here, whatever you define in here, like is going to be what's mirrored outside. So I used to define myself as a reject. I used to define myself and feel myself that I was like a peasant. I was going to be abandoned. I wasn't lovable. There was something wrong with me. I would be discarded. Like these were my definitions of myself, right? As a child, I just literally like had all these experiences where I would climb something and I'd fall. I climbed out of my car when I was 2 and just fell out of the car. Like I just did all these things where as soon as I'd climb, I'd just fall. So I had these definitions that like I fail, I fall. Anytime I go high, I will fall down, you know. I had a dad who worked and traveled away and, you know, was a pilot. And for some reason, I thought he chose his job over me, or like, you know, these things don't make logical sense, but it's just the definitions we have of ourselves. I don't probably have to explain this a lot to you because you guys are coaches mostly and you understand this, right? So I have these definitions of myself. And then in my life, what happens is I keep creating these experiences that keep just redefining me in the exact same way. I'm not living a new life, creating anything new. I'm just in the past, in a time capsule, repeating the past again and again and again. You know, I choose this husband. I think, okay, he's going to be the one who never leaves me. Like I choose someone who I think is going to be super committed. But actually, he, you know, cheats and we break up when I'm pregnant and the most vulnerable, I get abandoned, right? So I'm creating and having these experiences, co-creating all of these experiences that just redefine and show me my definition's true. So you will see too that you're going to start having, you have definitions of yourself. You've defined yourself in some ways from the past. Right. And when you tune in now, I just want you to feel into like, and again, you can step into a circle. You don't have to write this if you don't want to. You can if you want. It's up to you. But tune in, like, what is the definition that you have made up of yourself? When you have a really tough experience or you're triggered by something or someone breaks up with you or a client doesn't choose you or whatever it is, like tune in to a time you've been hurt. What's the definition you make up of yourself? And I want you to look at when you're seeing that, like how often have you defined yourself as that through your life? You know, what times things have happened, stuff's gone on where you've just defined yourself as that and you've then co-created and had this same experience where that definition's proven true, right? All good, Dom. So I want you to just keep like, and memories will come. There's these little times, just bang, 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 you know, where you've seen yourself and you defined yourself as that. Yeah, could be nothing. I'll tell you later, Wendy. What do we do with this? Let's just get the awareness of it first. Awesome. Amazing, Lauren. You will still have definitions that are like limiting when you probably might have to just get really triggered, you know? But we always still have some ones that will rise up, you know? But yeah, what you're doing is the next step that I'm going to talk about, which is great. So I want you to just like see this, right? Picture this, see that. Now I want you to just imagine that you haven't got a past. I just want you to imagine that you are present in this moment right now, that there is no past. You've just come into this world, just bang, you know, beamed right down into the now. So there's no past. You're just, it's empty. Empty all that out. All of the stuff I just shared, all those memories, all the definitions, just let it out, empty it out. You're just completely fresh, open, empty now. There isn't any past. You're in like a little baby looking through the eyes, like, you know, it's all innocent, all open. So I want you to imagine you've got no past. There's no definitions. Like there's nothing. You're just empty, fresh, new. And I want you to look in your life. If there was no past, you're empty in this. Like you're just completely new, eyes of the baby. What would change in your life generally if you live now from this point on? Just tune in generally. What would change in your life if you just lived as if there's no past? Yeah, everything, live fully. And I want you to imagine Again, there's no past, you're empty, it's all new. And a problem that you faced and recently could be money thing or business or imagine you can imagine it, Wendy. Just imagine that in innocence, imagine that new eyes baby, right? Because we can imagine anything. We're amazing at imagining. So an old problem you've had used to have in the past, whatever it is, an old problem, imagine you've got no past around it. You're just empty. You're looking through the eyes of the baby at this thing that you used to think is a problem. Like, how do you see it now? How do you relate to it now? What does it feel like? Yeah, neutral. You might even start getting some ideas of just how to move forward with it, right? Just what to create. Weightless. Yeah, amazing. But it's fresh, it's light, it's fun, yeah. And you just go, okay, cool. Like, what do we do? Move forward. Like, you're not getting stuck in the muck and the swamp and all that, right? Just bombarded with the whole thing. It's just like, okay, well, how do we move around this? What do we do with this? Whatever, right? There's that bouncy light energy. And now I also want you to imagine, again, there's no past. You're this empty vessel. There's no definitions. You're just this eye of the baby. And it's on your desire and it's on something you would love, like an ultimate dream that you have. Some some exciting thing in your life, in your business, in some miracle you've wanted to create, like whatever it is. Come at it with that innocence, come at it with no past. How do you see that? How do you approach that? Playful. Yeah. Like it's a game. Yeah. Relief, excitement, right? Dancing, joyful. Yeah. But often again, like it seems possible. It's not, not far beyond your grasp. Like you can go for it, appreciate it. Yeah. Whereas usually we might see a desire like that that's huge and just go, oh, well, who am I to want that? How am I ever going to create that? Like some crazy thing, right? So the first thing that we've done here when we're looking at definition with self is you need to firstly understand and see, like, what are your definitions of yourself? Because before I had a lot of self-awareness around my common stories and definitions, I would get triggered and then I would just start running with that story and I wouldn't catch myself. I just believe it all to be true, whatever, right? So you need to firstly have awareness of this so you can start to see, oh, hang on, here's that old story again. Oh, hang on, and you catch it. So the first step is we need to be aware of what our old definitions are. That we're a peasant, that we're abandoned, we're whatever, right? Then I want you to just empty those, empty the definitions, empty the, past, just empty yourself because you can't start imprinting a new thing until it's empty space. You can't fill up a new house with your things unless it's empty, right? So you first want awareness. You then want to have the emptiness, get into innocence, just cut the past, like imagine. And if you just practice this week, beyond, if you take this away from tonight and you just actually begin to imagine there's no past, there's no definitions, like, and you approach life from that innocent way of just in the moment, you are already going to receive and create so much more powerfully. Because you look at the times and you've got really stuck in your stuff or you've got really down about things or overwhelmed with a problem. And it's because you're just orientating from the past with it. So you can't see creatively because you're just stuck in the 4-year-old view, right? So that's the second piece. Now, the third thing that I want you to do, though, is that you actually have a true definition of you. There is actually a true definition of who you are, deeply, truly, right? If you look at the hero's journey and you look at, mythology and all the things, like every single, even movie, whatever it is, story, the hero is born, the star is born, but they're in hiding. They think they're a peasant. Like Luke Skywalker doesn't know who he is. He's born into this thing and he's hiding. He's a peasant. He's living in this. Cinderella is a peasant, right? They're in hiding because it's not safe to be the queen or the king or the goddess or the god or the whatever that they really are. So they're born into hiding, and that's the same as all of us. We are actually a star. We've got gold dust and star in our DNA. We are coming from the cosmos. That's a part of our superconscious self, is like a star, right? And we're born into this human body, and we define ourselves as this peasant, or we forget who we really are. And we're just defining all this stuff in this past, and like we're just limited, putting ourselves in this little box when we're actually a part of the whole cosmos of the universe, right? And that power of limitless power. And our journey, what my journey has been, what your journey is, what I teach clients is to remember and reclaim the goddess, to remember and reclaim the god that they are, to remember and reclaim the star they are, the magician, the creator, the whatever. That is your true definition. I'm not Miranda, the abandoned one, the peasant, the whatever. I'm Miranda, the goddess. I'm not even Miranda. I'm just the goddess. Like, I'm just the creator. I'm just the light. I'm just the star. And you can too. You can also be that. Because the awesome thing is, up in the stratosphere, I don't have to fucking compete with you and have one light over here and one light. Oh, there's too much light. Fuck, there's stars everywhere. Go be a star. Take over the fucking universe. Awesome. Love it. The bigger you are, that's good. Doesn't affect me. I don't have to take your light out and fucking pull you down. I'm going to champion the hell out of you and make you even a brighter star, because that doesn't take anything from me. I'm just excited that you're being your full self. As women, there's all this like, this can be this competition. It's because we're playing in this little flipping tiny little box. Get out of the box. Go up to the universe. Like, that's where you are. Go play up there. Right? So what, you're on your circle, like sitting there now, like, what is your true definition of you? If you're looking up and you're up in the stars and you're up in the cosmos, and you remember that you're not this little human here, you're actually a super conscious being. You're a creative force, right? What is your definition that comes to you? Just sit there and see what's the definition. You may need to sit with this for a bit. But what's your definition? The true definition of you. Mine is like, yeah, mine is a goddess. Mine is a god. Mine is love. Like, that's what I see. What's yours? Women do not know they have space because they are space. Yes, that's right. We're connected to all time and space. I am a goddess. Yeah, magical being, like a fairy that sprinkles glitter and love over the universe. Awesome. I love that, hun. Your impact. Pure joy, pure love. Amazing. Yeah, tune into your definitions. Goddess. Awesome. We can all be. We can all be whatever, we can all be any of it. But if you live your life and I have some relationship I'm in and then they don't choose me, whatever, but I define myself as the peasant, the reject, I'm going to get hurt by it. I'm going to get broken. I'm going to like not go and try again. This little pedal's been stamped on, like, right? But if I'm the goddess, like, oh, well, they're lost. Next, like, it's like obviously I'm still going to get hurt. I'm going to feel things. But if I remember who I truly am, it's like, okay, it's completely different. If a client chooses to work with someone else, cool, they're a goddess, awesome. They resonate with that star, great. Someone is copying bits of my work or whatever, like, okay, awesome. They should be more their star, not copy, but oh well, cool. If you define yourself in that way, these things that usually would get you and the things that would take you out and the things that don't affect you. If you want to know the most powerful alchemical tool that you can use in an instant to sort of alchemize your energy straight back into your highest frequency, remember your true definition of yourself and pull it in all the time, constantly. I'm constantly reminding myself of who I truly am. Right? I will still get triggered and brought back to earth and like made myself think that I'm the peasant, I'm the reject, or whatever. I notice it. I go back into innocence, empty it out, and then I go back to, well, who am I truly? And bang, it can take a 1 minute and my whole life's different. But if I approach my life as a god, a goddess, whatever, I'm going to create limitless potential, limitless possibility. Like it's just about our belief, right? And my life's going to reflect that. But if I think I'm a peasant and I think whatever, then my life's going to reflect that, right? Goddess living your genius human life. Amazing. We are whole. Yes. So, yeah, this is sort of like key secret business, that I'm sharing with you. And you may feel like, oh yeah, like, that's cool, whatever. But you start actually really living off that definition and you start really bringing it in day-to-day life, practical. You start to reclaim that and your whole life will change. The whole life will be reflecting back to you. Interestingly, like my friends were joking the other day about like me being a guru because I get in this stage where I like I'm not a guru, but like I start teaching and I start like, using my finger and whatever. And you tell it about the stories and whatever. And then like people like start like putting on my social media and stuff, like tag me the next day, like Miranda the Guru. And she's not a friend attached to this. She was as a client, has no idea. And she starts calling me guru. It's like someone just defined me as that, put it in the quantum, and bang, the next day someone else is saying it, right? It's a silly example, but like whatever we call ourselves, name of ourselves, like I've been really calling on the goddess, and I'm having all these people saying all of the goddess, whatever, to me. And I'm not telling people to call me that. Like I'm just picking in that energy, right? So whatever you define yourself as, it will reflect back to you. When I used to doubt my worth or think I wasn't super valuable, or these men doing this big business stuff, money, like they're really where they should be learning. Like I then would have a client or something feel a bit like, oh, I don't know, your work's, maybe not as good as this, whatever, because I'm reflecting it back and mirroring it in my life. The moment I start claiming my value, the moment I get back into my power, the same person a couple of days later reflects how magical I am. Like it's just like, it's a mirror. If you have someone treating you a certain way, or people not valuing you, or clients not coming, or it's a mirror to how much you're valuing yourself right now, how you're defining yourself right now. You change that definition, your mirror will change, your hologram will change, right? My friends call me Epic Human from my program. Amazing. Love that. So scary sometimes. It's worth it. Yes. So put in like key takeaways. What's landing for you? I'm just sharing quite a few different pieces here, right? But what's your key takeaway? What's landing for you? What's really standing out, sticking out? Be it to see it. Yeah, 100%. I literally just believe like I embody the goddess. I go to do these rituals or I go into my like travel zone or whatever. And I just believe my business will thrive and people will come and I'll magnetize. And I just ask for, universe to bring in certain people, whatever it is, and it happens. Yes, there's still actions I take. Like, yes, I'm not talking to the action strategy side tonight, there are still, but it doesn't have to be much when I'm getting this in alignment. But if this is not in alignment, then I can take all the actions in the world and it doesn't do anything, you know? Seeing yourself as a goddess. Yeah. Definition creates our reality. I need to have a positive definition of myself. Yes. And it's not actually even a positive definition, hun. It's a true definition. It's the truth, you know? It's who we actually are because it's who we're actually really born as, that life force, creative force, superconscious force that we actually are prior to coming into this human little vessel, you know? We're a spiritual being having a human existence, as they say. We are a fractal of God. Yeah, exactly. So that really covers like what I wanted to share tonight in terms of, yeah, the main lessons, messages of like the how. So we're just to recap, we've really gone into your relationship to the feminine. You having awareness around that is very, very vital and key to being able to embody, feminine energy and to use its powerful place, part in your life. So that was the first thing that we looked at, and actually starting to just rebuild your relationship to the feminine, to actually start to she's got incredible resources and medicine and gifts. And if you're deficient in her, or if you're poisoned by overusing other parts of you, your life's going to be affected, So starting to really work on that relationship. And when you say how, I mean, there's so many things you can do that are how, but, primarily we're relational beings. A lot of the time when I've had an issue with myself or the feminine energy in me or my business or money or offers or whatever, I actually just start having a conversation with the thing, with myself or with feminine or with the business. Or sounds crazy, but like just start having a conversation. You got a relationship problem, start talking about it, with that part of you and see what it says back. Like, so that's the first thing. Then we had a look at your false definitions of yourself, and how to empty ourselves, forget, let them go, get into innocence, and then start calling in our true definitions. So if you practice this practically, like, it's incredibly powerful and it's going to make a massive difference in your life. And for the last, like, particularly this last year, this definition of myself, like, is when I learned this technique through the superconscious work. Like, it's made such a difference in my life, such a difference to be able to actually regularly do this. So I'm really excited to hear what happens for you. I can tell you all the things, we can always say all the things, learn all the things, but if you don't actually apply and practice them and follow through on them, then they won't do anything. So I really encourage you to even look tonight at a recent trigger or something where you've defined yourself a certain way and go through the practice I've said, and this week, just keep bringing yourself back to that true definition of you and coming from that place and see what happens. Right? So I'm about to open up for questions and that sort of thing for you ladies. Before I do, I did want to mention, and I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but obviously when you guys come to these classes, like, that I'm going to tell you some things and I'll be like, if you want more, here it is. So if you do want to learn more about this, if you do want to dive deeper into your divine feminine energy, into working out how you can call on the goddess, how you can call on the energetic realm, your superconscious powers, like, to actually create your life from that more easeful, aligned flow place. If you would love to magnetize more into your life with less effort, with less action all the time, with less of that hustle, then that's like my forte. That's what I'm here to do for women. I'm here to really empower you to be more of who you are, to have that fulfilling, beautiful life, but also to create abundance and business and all that you desire. When I say abundance, it's every single thing that you want. This stuff I teach, it doesn't just work in business, it works everywhere, right? So yeah, if you want to know more, dive deeper, so right now, and I'm just going to be brief on this because I know that you'll know if you feel called to explore more or not. There are two ways to mainly work with me at the moment, and that is Alchemy, which is my 6-month mastermind. And that's the real deep dive, the deep intimacy, being held very accountable, but very close in connection. My clients are coming to my house on Tuesday next week to do a deep dive in, immersion together. And it's the most intimate space. The only reason I've run it for 3 years now, the only reason I keep running it is because I love my clients and I love the intimacy that I have with them and the connection that I have. And then we're just empowering and bringing in the superconscious power into them and helping them actually, work with emotions, work with energetics to call in all they desire, and working more on their business and their relationship to their business and their money, but from that soul beautiful place. So if you're feeling like you want some info on Alchemy, put Alchemy in the chat. And then the other one that I have right now is Magnetism. And Magnetism is my membership. And that is a monthly membership where we're diving into the goddess archetypes. We're actually going and doing all the archetypal work. Because in the feminine, like the divine feminine frequencies, there are lots of different archetypes, lots of different flavors of the feminine that you can work with. And so every month I'm looking into a new archetype, a new flavor of the feminine, a new type of goddess that we're looking at. And how can you relate to that differently? How can you draw on her medicine more? How can you not get poisoned by her? How can you get that deficiency ironed out? Like we're looking at all of that. And there's like meditations and practices and yeah, super awesome. See you, Mary. Super powerful work. So if you want any more info on magnetism, then you can put magnetism in the chat as well, because that's the other one. But anyway, whatever you want, just send me some questions and things. Connect with me. I'd love to hear how you've gone with it all. But I do, awesome. I can send you guys some info. I do want to open the floor for like any questions, anything that you want. You know, I've got a little bit of time. I'd love to find out, you know, what do you desire? What would you love to know? It could be about tonight, it could be about anything that you'd love some support in. Anyone got any questions for me? No one has a question. No one has a question.
Okay, I'll go. I'll ask you a
Oh, here
question.
you go. You couldn't hold the attention. Go for it.
Ah, um, okay. How do you what's your best tool or techniques or way of working with your nervous system?
In what, like to calm the nervous system?
To not let your nervous system take over. I mean, you cannot just do like mindset work, you
Oh
know what I
yeah,
mean?
no, definitely
So
not.
how do you work with your physicality and your your nervous system, your what's in your body,
Yeah, yeah.
the fears and the limitations that are holding your whole being to take the next action that is truly in alignment with the pure divinity within
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, and I love that you share this, and I do say this in other trainings as well, that, you know, I've been in all these different worlds, you know, and you know, Nick, the superconscious world, and like it's very powerful, but the thing about a lot of the worlds is that they can be heavy on something and then lacking on something, right? And so sometimes when we go to in the superconscious, we're in consciousness and things, but we're not doing the emotional somatic body work, right? And then other times I've been in the strategy world and there's all the actions and whatever, but again, there's lacking this embodiment stuff. And then the embodiment people are lacking like consciousness and action. So it's all needing to be balanced, right? So, but like I really like that you've asked about this because yeah, what I gave tonight was, you know, mindset-y and not mindset-y, but deep consciousness stuff. But there is more to it than the body needs as well, like particularly when we've been quite triggered or something also. But in terms of like the best techniques that I've found, that I can easily sort of share now, the one that's been really powerful for me and giving spaciousness to my nervous system is the TM meditation, transcendental meditation.
Okay.
I've learned that 5 years ago and practiced it, you know, from there. And it's a being technique, like it's a very powerful meditation that uh, gives you a lot of awareness. So it opens up your level of awareness at catching yourself before your ego takes over and nervous system takes over and you start running. But also, it's a very powerful de-stressor, and it just provides more presence and space. You know, so that's one. That's a meditation that's really powerful. But yeah, emotional movement. So I teach also like non-linear movement, and I've learned that sort of that modality, and it's really using movement to move emotion in your body. Um, I mean, there's a lot of different techniques, but that's one of the main ways that it's used, and so it releases sort of stuck energy in the cells and trauma responses that we have. Um, so yeah, that is also something that I use and do. Um, yeah, if you you know I might run a class, a free class on it. Something that I teach in alchemy and that sort of thing as well. But yeah, keep an eye out. I might maybe bring one out, you know, at some point because it's not something that's easy to just explain. But basically, for me to just tell you now, if you want to start exploring it, if you haven't already, you know, you just choose any song that connects to the emotion that you're feeling in the moment and close your eyes and just let your body move to the song and move in whatever way it wants to express.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
better like low, starting low. If you stand up, it can often get into your head and it's like a heady thing. But if you start low and just get on the ground and, stay like lower, it can be really powerful.
Yeah, I do a lot of vibration dance, and I had a dance business for 10 years, Spiral Dance, which I created, 7 step to expand your consciousness, and it's that's what we did.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, you,
That's what,
you might be, but for me, yeah, I love it. But there's different flavors that you can go down and, exploring as well, obviously. But yeah, they're the two things that I find.
meditation and dance for you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they're the two that I
Mm,
find super powerful for
that's
that.
great.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
Awesome. Thank you, Donna.
no worries. Anyone else?
I will jump in and ask a
I
question.
felt like you had one. You're like, oh, yeah.
I was like, so many questions. Which one do I choose? Yeah, I'd love to know if there has been a point in your journey. I think the thing that was coming through for me a lot with connecting with the feminine was undervaluing her. And that was something that I had a lot growing up, the feminine being overlooked.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm just reflecting and I'm like, yeah, I probably undervalue my services and my coaching as well, and probably don't see how much, yeah, value is in it. So my
Yeah.
question to you is, has there been a point in your journey where you maybe didn't value or didn't see the value in your coaching? Then was there a breaking point where you shifted that for yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question, hon. Yeah, definitely been, lots of points. And I would say also points where I've then reverted back into questioning it again or whatever as well. But a massive turning point for me was that time when I did have I got into the 20K debt point, and then I had 1 month where I got into 20K month and I just sort of never went back again. Like that was probably the most significant time that I really started to value my work and see what my value was. Um, and the reason why that was such a big one is that I was really, really focused on the impact I was making on the women. Because before that it was like, I'm trying to get this money and money is how valuable I am, blah, 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 whatever. And I was taking how much people pay me, how much money I had as my worthy stick, right? And it's like it stopped becoming that, and it started becoming how much change can I give this person, how much can I pour into them, and and how much transformation can I create for them if I do that, and they work with me equally with that, right? And when I saw how much transformation, and I look back now and I see you and I see Loz and I see other clients that are fucking flying, and it's like, wow, like that part that I played in that little role there, really impacted some trajectory there. So when I saw the ripple that it created from me pouring into them, and that relationship we had together and my medicine I brought to that person, that was something really changed how much I valued. Um, the other thing as well is that I wasn't necessarily valuing me, but it was more my mission. When I stopped making it about Miranda and actually I'm a vessel of alchemy, I'm a vessel of the superconscious. I'm here to activate your superconscious. I'm here to activate your goddess, your genius. When I started to see my mission and my legacy, and even when I was in Peru and in Fiji, and when I started to care more about that and see that it's actually God choosing me or the universe, whatever, and I'm chosen and tapped on for a certain mission. And when I started getting obsessed with that, right now running this and even magnetism and alchemy, I don't need to do them. I don't need to remind my retreats. I don't need to do any of it. I'm doing it because I love it. I'm doing it because it's my mission. And I can charge a lot more for alchemy and superconscious and the work because it's not, I know how powerful they are. When I make it about me and it's Miranda's worthy, whatever, all my ego shit comes up, right? But alchemy has changed my life. It saved my life. It superconscious fucking I'm indebted to it forever. So I can sell that. And I won't just sell it for a certain value. I will not let someone who's meant to be doing it go. I won't let them buy into their bullshit. Right? I'll challenge them or tell the truth or whatever, not in a manipulative way, but just in a truthful way if they're being called to it. Right? So like, yeah, me really focusing on the service element, but also focusing on like the mission, and my legacy, like, because then it becomes really like this mission legacy I have now. What used to happen is I would create value and I'd get some clients, or I'd have a launch, and then I'd get some money, and then I would lean back and stop, and stop marketing, because it was just like, oh, I want to get this and that. It was so short-lived and so small. But now it's like this legacy I have, this mission. It's like there's no end to this. This is just getting bigger and bigger, Does that help, hun? Does that sort of refer to what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
that was great.
Because I think when we make it about how much I'm going to get paid, or like me and this and that, it just activates ego. There was one point I was like, I'm going to make 40K months. Fucking like made less because, because it was activating how worthy am I and value, blah, blah, blah. It's not a true vision. It's not actually what my soul and superconscious cares about, It's what my ego does. And I found the less I measure myself on all of that, actually often more I can charge and more I end up making, even though it's not actually what it's about. It's not what I'm actually like caring about, you know? Yeah, I would say that's, and I think also just like really writing down like the changes that you've created for yourself or other people, or like, when I look back and again, like look at you guys, look at my old clients, like see where their lives have gone, like see that they're now like, creating a retreat that we looked at a year before and like, oh fuck, like, that stuff's, I put that in my little repertoire of like my evidence that this stuff works, Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Hope that
Thank
helps.
you.
Good question though. Amazing. Bringing my feminine into coaching 100%, not just into self-development. Yeah. Amazing. Thanks. Embodying the transformation you want in your clients. Yes, very much. All right, my loves. Shilpi, I think we've got maybe the time wrong. You just came in. We're just finishing up now, my love. But if you check your emails, the replay will come in the next day. So thank you for coming tonight. So amazing to see you. The people that said that they would like info on magnetism or any of that, I will send that off to you. But I do have the link here for it as well. At the moment, there is a free 1 month in magnetism. So you can, go and dive in and explore and see if it feels, aligned. But I will put the link in here, just grabbing it, so that you can, go check it out. No worries, hun. You will, you'll be able to get it later. But anyway, love you, ladies. It's been an amazing time to be with you. Thank you so much for your love and presence. Really, really do appreciate you, and especially the ones I've known for a while. And we see each other over the time. It's always awesome. So, any questions, anything, send me a message. Check that link out. Would love to have you explore that as well. But anyway, love you lots, and hope you've received some value tonight. Much love, ladies. Ciao.